Most small businesses waste 40% of their SEO budget on ineffective SEO strategies. In today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to break down how to effectively invest in SEO for short term success as well as long term success. This podcast is going to be broken into three sections. The first section of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about one time and ongoing SEO investment. And then I'm going to talk about SEO budget allocation framework. And I'm going to finish the podcast by talking about how you can make your SEO budget agile by adjusting your SEO budget based on performance. So let's start by looking at the one time and ongoing investment. When you're looking at allocating an effective SEO budget for business success, as a business leader, you need to look at what are the things that you can invest in one time. First, where is your organization at the moment? Look at the situation analysis of your organization and look at the growth aspiration of your organization. If you have an aggressive growth plan, then you need to have an aggressive and high SEO budget. Having an aggressive growth plan and investing all your growth budget to paid advertising is a recipe for disaster because SEO is a long game. It will guarantee you traffic, customers long term, consistently and steady, while paid advertising is a pay to play. You don't have money for Google Ads, you don't get traffic. You don't have money for SEO, but the SEO that you've done initially is an investment. So when you're looking at the role of SEO in your business, you also need to look at the skill and training requirements. Before you allocate your SEO budget, first do an analysis of the skills that you have. And a lot of organizations make the mistake of hiring an SEO agency. There are two types of SEO agency: the specialist SEO agency and the large SEO agency. I would vouch for the smaller, specialized, uniquely dedicated SEO agency that is just purely SEO. And in this instance, the founder of the agency is by default an SEO veteran, as opposed to hiring a larger agency. And there are pros and cons to this, and this is not a general recommendation. You have some large agencies that have good SEOs, but looking at it from a consultant and a freelance and an SEO perspective, having worked as an SEO consultant for agencies and for in-house teams, you need to prioritize the skill development of your internal team. SEO needs to be trained at the senior level. So you need to have an SEO consultant like myself to come in and deliver a 2-3 hours training workshop for the leadership team to deliver that SEO training to be tailored to your organization, not a generic SEO training, an SEO strategy tailored to your business growth. That is a one-off SEO investment that will make sure that your business leaders have the fundamental understanding of how SEO works, what the key performance indicators are for your organization. The key performance indicators will be different for different organizations. So the first one-time investment for you to have a successful SEO budget allocation is to make sure that you train your leadership team across the board in marketing, the teams that are outside marketing. Once there's a general understanding of how SEO works and there's a uniform, a collective expectation of how the SEO strategy of the organization is to go, then there is collaboration and there's a general appreciation and clarity of how that SEO will go. The next thing you need to then look at from a budget allocation standpoint is to then look at the investment in upskilling your execution team. I recently worked with a financial services organization And one of the things I did for them was to train the content designers, train the IT people internally to understand how SEO works, to understand the importance of technical SEO, to understand how to do keyword research for generative engine optimization. I'm not talking about old school keyword research. I'm talking about the new school keyword research that is focused on making sure that AI platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity are able to pick up your content and recommend it when people use those tools to search. Then another thing you need to look at when you're doing your SEO budget is understand the current situation of your website domain authority. If your domain authority is weaker than your competitors, then you know that you need at least a year, 2 or 3 years investment in SEO to close the gap. There is no quick fix in SEO. So for an effective SEO planning, you need to plan long term and short term. Also, the competition level of your industry will also determine your SEO approach. If it's a heavily competitive industry like financial services, e-commerce, and all this highly intense competitive sector, then your investment in your SEO also needs to be proportionate to the amount that you're spending on Google Ads and paid advertising. You should have at least 20% of your paid advertising budget allocated to SEO. If you do not have that, the moment you run out of money and you're not able to compete from a paid advertising perspective, then you don't have the SEO as your backup plan, your plan B to get success online. So now let's look at SEO budget allocation framework. How are you going to allocate your budget to SEO and what areas should you focus on? Earlier on, I've covered focusing on training of the leadership team to make sure that you have that leadership visibility, because a lot of leaders don't really know what SEO is about. Going online and reading and going to articles does not really tell you what SEO is about. Now, when it comes to the budget, how you allocate those budgets, you need to understand that you need tools. And those tools are the tools that you need internally. Most agencies that you hire are going to use the same tool that you avoid buying. They're going to use it externally. So basically, what I'm trying to say is you're then left at their mercy because they'll just tell you this is what we found out in the tool, blah, blah, blah. But again, I worked with a few clients over the years, and the first thing I tell them to do is for us to have success in SEO, you need to have your own internal tool. That tool is what you're going to use. It will empower you to understand what keywords you're ranking for, the issues on your website. So the first thing you want to allocate budget to is the tool. And when you're talking to your CFO, you also need to help them understand that you have the ability to get a 3-year plan from this tool and at a cost effective amount. So the more years you subscribe to, the cheaper these tools are. Fundamentally, it's the same 2 or 3 tools that all SEO agencies use. So once you have that tool, you can then negotiate with your existing agency that you want them actually to use your tool. So you have that one central place where you have all your SEO work done in that tool. So this tool, there are different types. You're going to have tools that you're going to use for keyword research. You're going to have tools that you're going to use for content. You're going to have tools that you're going to use for keyword tracking. You're going to have tools that you're going to use for technical SEO. Some tool will be doing multiple of these things in one platform, while some tools will have strength in one and weaknesses in the other. For technical SEO, there are tools such as Screaming Frog. I don't normally recommend tools, but Screaming Frog is a strong tool that has been around for a very, very long time, and that would help as well. And on top of that, you have the ability to use tools like Perplexity and ChatGPT to also do some of this SEO task. I would not recommend using AI tool to create content. That is a recipe for disaster. You can, however, use AI tool to edit human created content. What I mean is, for example, this podcast, after I record this podcast, I would then use an AI tool to transcribe, not to transcribe, to convert the transcript of this podcast into a blog post. That is a reduced cost for me because ordinarily I would normally hire a content writer to transcribe it and then rewrite it for me. And that would take like 2-3 days and it will cost me money. So AI tool also would reduce the cost of your SEO, but you need someone that is experienced to be able to use that tool to the best of their ability. So when you look at the budget allocation, you also need a kind of tool that would help you with on page SEO content optimization. I'm not going to mention tools here. If you want to know the best SEO tools, reach out to me and I'll look at your budget, look at what industry you work in, and I'll recommend the tool that is applicable to you. I do not have any endorsement or any affiliation or any link with any of these tools. So that's why I'm going to be neutral with them. So again, you need tool for digital PR and link building, and you also need tool for local SEO. Video optimization, YouTube SEO is a different beast in itself. You need a dedicated tool for that as well. And if part of your strategy is podcasting, you also need a budget for that as well. So your SEO budget allocation is just to make sure that you're taking away the cost of tooling from the agency and you're reducing that by making sure you have those tools internally. And that again will help you manage those costs and it will help you keep ownership of the SEO activity. Take, for example, if you hire an agency and you want to change agencies, if you've been relying on their tool, that means all the knowledge, all the expertise, there's a strong chance that that would just go with them. But if you have your own tool internally, you can then give the SEO agency or consultant access to that tool. And then you have continuity and you have knowledge transfer because everything will be within that tool in itself. And you have a history of the tool as well. And in the third section of this podcast, let's quickly talk about making your SEO budget agile. What this means is you need to look at important metrics that shows you the performance of your SEO strategy. There will always be some things that you're going to do as a one-off. These things you're going to do like technical SEO, technical audits, you're going to be doing it once in a while. So you do not really need to move money around for that, but you need to make sure that based on the performance of the technical SEO that you've implemented, you'll be able to identify areas of your website that you're strong at and areas of your website that you're not so strong at. What I'm trying to say here is after the technical audit, after the keyword research, and after everything has been implemented, the monitoring of those performances. What are the parts of your website that has better ranking? What are the keywords that you have better ranking for? Will then help you determine how you're then going to attack your digital PR and link building. The goal is to close the gap with you and your competition. If you're not even ranking on page 1 of Google, then you know you need to invest heavily on digital PR. You know you need to invest heavily on YouTube video SEO because the quick wins for you in situations like that is to invest in channels that will close that gap. And across the industry, one thing I've seen is YouTube video SEO is a quick win. If you look at some of the best SEO tools out there, the way they really, really got market share and dominated and grew fast was primarily YouTube SEO. But they're selling tools to people for keyword research, whereas their strategy was to get brand awareness, get brand visibility, get content out there to rank faster, and that then had a ripple effect on the other parts of their SEO. So these are the things you need to look at, and your budget for SEO needs to be iterative. You just don't set a budget for 12 months and keep doing the same activities over and over and over. You need to look at the things that are working, and if you find some things that are not working, you move the budget away from that and you reallocate budget. So you need to look at your SEO from a short-term, long-term perspective. You need to be tracking your keyword performance. You need to be tracking the quality of your backlinks. So if you're getting backlinks that are more quantity focused, and where your agency or your consultant will say, oh, we got more links from this, you need to look at where did they get that link from. If it's the same domain, that you know that there's really not a lot of value to that, although it might be relevant, but you want to be getting backlinks from domains that are relevant to your brand, domains that are relevant to your target customer. And that's really how you want to approach it. You want to track the performance of your SEO, and you also want to look at the difference between how you're ranking for brand term and non-brand term. Ideally, you know you're going to easily rank for brand term, your brand, your business name, those kind of things. You want to make sure that you're ranking for them. And for the non-brand term, you also want to look at, okay, what are the brand term that has low competition and you can get more results with? That is where you want to be investing in. You do not want to invest your money in areas where it's going to take longer for you to close the gap. So you want to close the gap quickly on the short, less competitive, long tail keywords. And that would help you get dominance on those parts before your competitors are aware of that. And then slowly, because SEO takes 6 to 12 months and longer for you to close the gap if you've been ignoring it. The good news is generative engine optimization is a little bit different, and although it's still in its infancy, it's growing, and that gives you another avenue. Whilst your SEO is not as strong as your competitor, if you're able to invest in high intent, long tail keywords, and you're able to make sure that the technical part of your SEO from a schema markup perspective is implemented correctly, you will be able to close the gap and get more informational type queries coming to your brand. My name is Femi Olajiga. I have an SEO digital marketing budget planning template. If you need help creating and allocating your SEO budget and making sure that you have everything you need to in-source your SEO budget allocation framework, reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to have a 1 or 2 hour session with you to walk you through how to effectively allocate your SEO budget. And remember, it's not just allocating your SEO budget, it's making sure that your budget is also allocated for generative engine optimization. That's the new thing when it comes to SEO. It's SEO and GEO, generative engine optimization. Reach out to me if you need a copy of the template of SEO budget planning strategies for businesses, and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast.
If you've got a real-life question, challenge, or scenario that you would like covered, Femi can cover it in the future episodes of the podcast. Just drop him a message on LinkedIn. Femi is also available for one-to-one coaching and consultancy services as well. So head over to LinkedIn, connect with him, and send in your message.